Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the special meeting on Tuesday, September 24th of the Oak Hills Park Authority. This is the rescheduled meeting from last Thursday. I'd like to welcome everybody. First item on the agenda is to call to order, and I will call the roll. If I call your name, if you could just say either here or raise your hand. Gary Leeds.
Here.
Rich Dellinger.
Here.
Denise Brown. Denise, I think you're on mute. Denise, you're on mute.
I think I'd know how to use this by now. I'm here.
Thank you. Gary Leeds.
I'm here twice.
I'm sorry, my apologies, guys. Mary Verrill. Mary, I think you're on mute. TJ Trimboli.
I am here.
Okay, Mary, are you there? I know you. I think you're here by video. So we do have a quorum. So I do see Mary here. So we will start the meeting. Could I have someone move to accept the minutes, please, of the last meeting?
So moved.
Give a second.
Second.
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any discrepancies that we saw on the minutes that anybody needs to make any changes? I did see one on the first page where it says under roll call, it said Mr. Dellinger called the roll. It should say Mr. Dutton called the roll. So that's just one change we have there. Are there any other changes that anybody saw and would like to make a change to?
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's written where, like it says superintendent's report, and then it'll say Jim Shell or pro golf report, and it'll say Paul Alexander. So it didn't say anybody's name after their title. I don't know if that's necessary.
I
mean,
I'm not sure they're not, Denise, to be honest with you. Let's leave it as it is at this moment in time. Okay, there being no changes. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, if it just say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any declines? Any abstentions? The minutes are accepted. Item number 3 is public comment. Do we have anybody who has raised their hand, James?
We do not.
No public comment?
Correct.
Public comment is now closed. Item number 4, report of the chair. Don't really have a lot to say at this moment in time. Just to update, we did, have a Jim Shell worked on basically a report working with a consultant about providing, water sources here at the Oak Hills, and we did actually get a proposal from this company, which is probably the best company in America, and judging by the price that they wanted to charge us, I can see the reason why. They gave us a quote for the total project of finding the water and drilling for it and pumping it out of about $500,000. So needless to say, that is a lot of money. So we will, go back to the drawing board and see what other options there are for us. Obviously a lot of money, and but it is important that we don't forget about this for when, the seasons do get dry. The upcoming seasons. I am very pleased to announce that we will be forming a long-range planning committee. This is something that I think that Oak Hills has needed for quite a while. We are doing more and more projects, and we need to look and see from a long-term process, what's that going to entail. And I'm very pleased to announce that Gary Leeds has agreed to chair this committee. So Gary, thank you for doing that. I'd like to ask any members of the Oak Hills Authority that would like to serve in this committee to contact Gary. And Gary, you may be contacting people that you would like to have serve on this committee. I'd be happy to serve in it myself. And if there are any other people outside of the committee, any members of Oak Hills that you feel may be of worth having on the committee to look at it, I think would be a good idea as well. So,
Alan, can I just ask you,
Yeah.
are we going to kind of advertise that a little bit and ask any golfers that, or tennis people, whether people that we're forming this, and is anyone interested to contact me or you, or how are we going to do that to look for people outside of the immediate board?
well, and what would you suggest, Gary? Would you be comfortable doing that and going out to the? I don't mind, to be honest with you, as long I wonder how many people would reply and how would we vet them? But what does anybody else think? Any other thoughts? Rich,
I
what
think
do you
it's
think?
always,
Do you
it's
have any
always good.
idea of how many that you would like on the committee, Gary?
I think a minimum of 5 and maybe as many as 7. Because as we look at this, I mean, if this is a long-range planning for Oak Hills Park, we have a tennis element. We have obviously a golf element. We have a nature element. Okay. I don't know if Parks and Recs has any other ideas how they'd like to use the park. And I don't mind sharing it, but I'm more tactical than long range in my history. And we might want to look for some people who, have some long range planning experience, Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a great idea to do. I mean, I was actually just looking over the 2014 long range planning report earlier today, and I don't know if is everyone familiar with that. I mean, because it's very comprehensive, and
Yeah.
for me, it was I go back to it occasionally just to see some of the suggestions that were made, and I know they did an outside consultant. I do think that it's important to get people beyond the authority on the committee, particularly those that are involved in golf associations, women and men's, also. Anyway, yeah, I think you have to be careful in the scope, because the one in 2014 evidently was done by an outside firm and very expensive, but very well done too. It's an excellent report.
Yeah, well, I think long term, we may want to allocate some budget dollars toward that once we start getting some ideas. I don't know how quickly we can put together, but just putting together an agenda, looking at the 2014 plan and, moving through that. But I kind of look at it, it's a long range, capital plan, as well as where should this park go as, as we support the people of Norwalk. So.
Gary, I think a representative from the city, be it either Robert Stowers or anybody else, may help us from a political point of view. Anybody possibly who has played Oak Hills for a long time and who's familiar with Oak Hills, and I don't think it could harm basically maybe going out and asking or putting something to see who steps forward, as we can always choose who be on the committee, I think, and then nobody could say we didn't kind of give an opportunity to people as well. So that's my thoughts.
Right.
Okay.
Hello.
I agree with you. I think it's a good idea to use that 2014 for a stepping off point. That's probably a good starting point. And then to bring in a variety of people from all walks, who have, an interest in the parks and in the city of Norwalk. And I think we should go outside and look for people. I mean, yes, people from the golf course and people who are long-term golfers and things like that, but maybe there's other resources out there in the community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, well, thank you all. That concludes my my remarks from the chair, which is agenda item number 4. Now moving to item number 5, special reports. John Lloyd is unfortunately for us not available today. He's got a personal something to take care of, and James, General Manager Jim Holliday, is going to give small reports on his behalf. James.
Thank you, Alan. I'm just going to read John's report. Business has been marked by a 30% reduction in trade from the early highs of May and June. Cart sales have diminished, so now cart service runs Friday to Sunday only. Restaurant sales have been lackluster midweek. Evening diners in particular seem to be low. We're down to a small front of house staff with bartenders doubling up as servers. The halfway house continues to be robust at the expense of the restaurant, so we are reframing the hours of operation to 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week in order to encourage golfers to go through the restaurant. All snack, food, and drink options currently available at the halfway house are available to purchase at the restaurant. It's important to note we've reduced the halfway house hours under the advisement of some senior Oak Hills staff as a necessary evil to reframe the clubhouse as the golfing community hub, which was the central mission of our proposal to Oak Hills at the beginning of the year. The golf outings are generally good for Odines, where they engage in some form of F&B service. We've had some outings where there is no food or drink plan, and with the course closed to the public for the day, the restaurant closes early once the outing is over. Outings continue to be problematic with outside alcohol being brought in. We'd again like to invite the discussion as to how this problem gets remediated. Private parties are being booked for fall and winter and look to be a promising source of business over the holiday period. And that's from John Lloyd.
So, interesting report. Just and the authorities should know that I did meet with John Lloyd to go over the instances of outside and golf outings bringing their own product in and giving it, basically giving it away. And I reiterated to him that this will not be allowed to happen next year. Obviously, this is a change year for the outings, but we will be enforcing our rules. It's part of our liquor license where people can't bring their own liquor in and give it away, as well as take away from the revenue of Dean's. Looks to me that the restaurant is usage there is something that I think we will need to work with them on to see how we can improve it for them, increase the revenue. And they are open, they are here. And then one thing we'll have to look at is what will our winter service be as far as the restaurant is concerned. So any other comments that we would like to share on the restaurant report?
Is Paul here?
Paul Alexander's here, yes.
Yes.
Paul, I mean, is that going to affect if we tell groups you can't bring your own liquor? Is that going to affect bookings?
Paul, you're on mute.
Paul, you're muted.
How's that? Any good?
Yep.
Okay. So I have a lot of experience with outings. For 5 years of doing it here, I tell the people on the phone when we're confirming the date that they must use the restaurant for breakfast, lunch, dinner, heavy hors d'oeuvres, or maybe a barbecue at the turn. And I will say that I think some of the outings that we did have recently, they used us last year as far as food and beverage. So I pretty much make it clear to them. The contract also says big letters in a box, you are not allowed to bring any alcohol on the golf course. And I understand this is a transition year, but I am in full 100% agreement that under no circumstances next year should any outing be allowed to bring any kind of alcohol or food. And if they're not happy with that, that's just the way it is. And you know, we just had an outing recently. It was an outstanding outing. It's our first one ever here for the Norwalk Police Athletics League. And they brought 136 players. So I feel confident that, you know, we can get better outings if we have to. But I don't think they should be bringing, and just so you know, they had 350 drink tickets for 136 people, and then they could buy on their own if they want. So I like golf and I don't mind having a beer, but I don't necessarily want to see this as an alcohol fest out here.
So just for the record, two of the outings are from major facilities and restaurants and bars here in Norwalk, and have been doing this for a while. So this was the transition year for them. They were told, and next year it will not be allowed to happen. And that's pretty much about it, I think.
So what is the consequence if they do bring it?
Well, they won't be allowed. They'll be told in advance they can't. You know, we'll confiscate it, but we don't want to go down there. Just you're going to tell them in advance. Basically, you can't do it. If you,
Yeah.
and if you want to take your outing somewhere else, that's fine. But you won't be able to bring your own alcohol here. That's just it's a liquor license rule, and it's a rule for the park.
Yeah, because we don't want to be the police.
Correct. Okay. Any other comments on the restaurant? Thank you. Tennis report. We have Bob Cavalieri from GEM Kings Highway Tennis. She very kindly sent us her report, which I think we all saw. So Bob, if you'd like to take it away.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to share a little bit of my background and my boss, who is the president of Kings Highway and Tennis Connecticut, with you all. Jeff has been managing and been the president of the clubs for the past 45 years, and I began working with him 37 years ago. We had other clubs at the time. Chopin Racquet Club was one of them, which closed about 7 years ago when Chelsea Pierce came into town and stole a bunch of our tennis coaches, and our landlords wanted to double our rent. So today it's going to be a boat storage facility, so that I just heard of. So I just want to talk a little bit about how much we enjoy working in the industry and having the availability to manage the Oak Hills property. It does a lot for us and our tennis pros. Our business brings a lot of people to Oak Hills. Basically, a lot of the patrons, most of them are customers from Kings Highway. Many of the women, I think it's about 70-ish, play on the DCNC League. Might have not said that right. It might be DNCN League. And they do practices and they play matches for 10 weeks out of the summer. So we manage Trumbull, Fairfield, and Darien year round. And thanks to Art Goldblatt, who asked Jeff if he would bid 17 years ago on Oak Hills, allowed us the opportunity to jump on board. And basically the day I walked into the office, it was just a shack with nothing in it. And, today it's grown to be a really lovely place for people to come, especially for people who might not have the funds to be at a country club, or, can't afford it, don't want to play on their team at a country club. We have a lot of those people. They prefer, because there's so many politics at country clubs, they prefer to play at Oak Hills. So that's been a big plus. We bring our teaching staff, which is top notch, to Oak Hills. They're experts, and players can play year round with them. So our pros and our staff are the key components in running a successful tennis business. I could share lots of a lot more at a later date about our experience when time permits. I did do a summary that Jim has, and he is able to share that with all of you. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to have you reach out to me via email. Which you can get from the Kings Highway website under Meet the Staff. And we're looking forward to coming back next summer, and hopefully for years beyond that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No questions, but I would want to thank publicly for the staff that you have there, especially the office staff. The 3 new hires this year, as you mentioned, were terrifically helpful. And the pros have been always good. I've taken lessons from a lot of them in the past years, and there really is, they're very helpful, very accommodating. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you for the Tennis Friends side, that you've been gracious enough last 2 years, let us collect money as a fundraiser for the weekend drop-ins. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's been very lovely that you've been able to do that for us. So thank you very much, Barb.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Bob? Bob, thank you for attending. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me. Jeff and I will be attending the meetings going forward, just so you guys know, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Look forward to seeing you.
It's a lot. I'm going to sign off now.
Okay,
Have a
thank you.
good night, everybody.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Nature Advisory Report, Mary?
Not a whole lot to report. We're starting to get some traction. Still working with the Norwalk gardeners. We're going to do some more planting, some bulbs and some bushes. I'm able to work with Aspetuck Plant Sale, and I get wholesale pricing. So I was like a kid in a candy shop and picked all kinds of stuff for all my projects. So we'll be doing that. We want to have we want to get together with Lori from the Norwalk Gardeners maybe sometime next week for lunch and do some more planning out there in the fountain garden. Still consulting with that Mike Papa. A couple of us met with him. He's Artscapes landscaper, and we're looking at the lawn there that's in the fountain garden, and there's some water issues that we have to resolve. I'm not sure, I'm not convinced it's a wetland, but the water doesn't drain very well there. So before we do any kind of planting, we wanted to do, as I mentioned last month, we want to do like a demonstration lawn with native wildflowers and native plantings that A, takes less water, B, takes less mowing, and there's no need for fertilizer or pesticides, or no need for anything. It's kind of a low maintenance, pollinator friendly lawn. That seems to be the up and coming thing, and so we want to do like a demonstration garden for the public. We think that would be good, but we gotta work on the soil first before we do that. So we're probably gonna work on that in the late fall into the winter. The other the natural areas that I've kind of outlined that I think need some work, primarily vine removal and things like that we can schedule maybe with the staff when they're looking for something to do in the winter time. That's a good time to do those kinds of things. So that's kind of in the offing. And the other thing that I really think that we really need to address if we're going to make it a park that we want people to come to and enjoy and such is the paths. The paths seem to be in dire need of revamping. Some of them are downright dangerous as far as I could see. So I have to kind of figure out how we're going to address that. I don't know, maybe we can work with the Parks Department. Is that possible? Is that possible to do, Mr. Stowers? Is he here? Where is he? I don't know. Robert, is that possible to work with the Parks and Rec with the path building? Is that something that's possible? You're on mute.
I think Mary, from a big picture point of view, speaking as, like the chair, that I think obviously we have we're going to be writing our budgets for, the coming years, etc., and I think we need to look at, putting some funds into the nature area more so than we've done in the past. I'm not sure that's from a big picture point of view. I think we do need to look at that, move from a short-term and a long-term point of view.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've walked it lately, but it's in need of, I mean, I some of them I was fearful with the children to walk on them.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the trails through the woods or the paths around the lawns?
The trails through the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, I just walk through there, sure. And usually by midsummer, it becomes almost impassable with vines growing out without any type of maintenance on it. And I can definitely agree that it's pretty overgrown right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's that time of year. I understand that. So it needs pretty heavy duty maintenance, more than getting a couple people together and for an hour or two. It needs major rehaul. And then some of it's very steep over there on is that the south end?
By
Before
the
you come up to,
dumpsters, yeah, by the dumpster, yeah.
yeah. That's a little treacherous there. And if there's some way that we could get a decent crew in there and make it a little safer walking, I think that would be beneficial. But that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any questions for Mary at all?
Mary, hi.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. Some areas of the pathway, especially for children and for people if they're not walking with proper shoes, things like that. There's some areas that I thought were kind of, you got to be really careful for. So
Right.
I think it'd be something down the road definitely to look into to help.
Well, that's why I was wondering if the Parks Department, if we could get any assistance through the Parks Department. Because they have major crews and big equipment.
Yeah, not 100% certain how that works, to be honest with you, at this moment in time. But Jim Holiday, maybe that's something that you can liaise with Mary on to take a look and see, identify what the scope is, and then we can come up with some type of action plan that we think. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Mary. Tennis report, Denise.
Good evening, everybody. Let's see. Well, we have sent out invites for arts dedication. We had a list from Art's son, Ben, and he's been working with one of our volunteers, David, and he sent him a whole list. So we finally launched the list out to the people that he gave us through their emails. And it's a little slow right now coming back for responses. We've gotten about 16 responses at least. So I don't know. The list was about 140 people, and that was given from Anne and Ben. That did not include like city employees that we extended the invite to, or to, Oak Hills Park Authority, for anybody who would like to come. and it's going to be October 5th at 12:30 in the afternoon. So we're hoping for us, let's say maybe 35, 45 people. We're hoping for maybe something like that. I'm not quite sure what we'll actually have. We do have a couple of people speaking. Alan, I think you intend to be there, correct?
Sure, I'll be there. Yep, definitely.
So anybody who would like to come by from the board, please do. Let me see you.
And the date and the time on that again, just so everybody knows, Denise.
October 5th is a Saturday and it's 12:30.
Okay.
Hey, this is Robert Stowers. Hey, I didn't mean not to answer. I couldn't, my microphone wasn't working, so I had to go on another laptop. So I didn't really get the question, but someone would, I was being asked, could the park department do something? And I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, I can clarify. The paths through the woods are this time of the year, yes, they're getting overgrown and such, but beyond that, especially on the south side, over towards the dumpster, some of those paths need some major work and some major rehauling to make them safe, actually, for the public. There were some areas that I was very loath to bring the children on because they were not real easy. So what I was wondering is if we can get any assistance from the Parks and Rec to do some of these rehauling, because it's going to take more than just a couple of volunteers going in there and cutting a little bit of stuff. I mean, it's path work. It's working on the paths.
Path work. Maybe I can talk with Jim Shell, and maybe I can do a little bit of consulting and we can figure out something.
Yeah, I was saying, Robert, I think it'd be a good idea for Jim Holiday to quarterback this work with Jim Shell and Parks and Rec to see what our opportunities are here as far as asking.
Because even if we couldn't work, Alan, we can actually do some consulting and we can figure out some collaboration.
I understand 100%. Basically,
we
just got to make sure that we don't tread anybody's, just basically work it out ourselves. I understand 100%.
Absolutely.
Jim Holiday, if you could quarterback this, would be great. I think it'd be
okay. Cool.
Okay. Thank you. Denise, anything else? Denise?
Yeah, a couple other things. There's we have a youth clinic going on right now. It's going on 3 afternoons a week. We have about 16, 18 players, young players coming in, and we have a pro named Brian. He's from the Darien Parks and Rec, so that's how I found him. He's very nice. He's working well with the kids. And let's see. I guess we have a new water problem on the courts. I know, Jim, you're looking into that with Jim Shell, Jim, I think. And the Norwalk Open Tournament that we had scheduled for a couple of weeks ago, we did cancel it because there didn't seem to be enough of interest in the enrollment for the doubles tournament. So we will take a look at that and see if, we decide to do anything differently or even do it at all for next season. And I mean, right now the courts are open. There's people playing on the weekends mostly. It seems pretty quiet during the week. There's groups of people who do come in the mornings and in the evenings and play. And I think, Jim Holiday, our fence is scheduled for the beginning of November with the Walsh Company, correct?
4.
I'm sorry?
November 4.
November 4th. Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. And that's kind of it for the moment.
Any questions for Denise? Thank you, Denise. I don't see Jerry Crowley here. I don't think so. I don't think there's any. Mark, anything to update on the friends of, on the supporters of Oak Hills Park?
No, I probably need to work with Denise a little bit on the remaining funds that are in PayPal. I think everything that's come in recently is all regarding tennis. That's not true. A couple of weeks ago, we did receive a very generous check. Oh no, that was also for tennis. Never mind. Everything's for tennis. So.
I should just like the minutes to record that Robert Stowers has joined the did join the meeting. It's probably about 20 minutes ago. Actually, I didn't announce it, so Robert has joined the meeting. Thank you. On the management reports, item 6 on the agenda, we have received the written reports from everybody, and thank you everybody for doing that. So, management team, when you actually do reports, if you could just hit the highlights, because you know, you've obviously reported, you know, here, and we have any questions we can ask you. So let's start off with our golf professional, Paul.
All right, thank you. Well, we're coming into the tail end of the season, but we remain very busy, especially when the weather's very nice. So we're continuing to see full tee sheets on the nice days, and especially the weekends. Our utilization numbers are 87% average the last 39 days, and 70% of those days we had 90% or more golfers utilization. So things are really busy here. Well, we still have 31 staff members. Interestingly enough, we sold a little over 1,220 golf memberships since January 1, down a little bit, 37 from last year, but I have rounds up 3% and green fee revenue is up 7%. So that means other people who are playing here are not members taking up those spots. Cart rides and cart revenue are about the same as 2023. We've had 13 outings so far this year, 4 more to go. Had a great one last Monday. I expect they'll come back next year. Both the Oak Hills Men's Association and the Women's Association are in their 22nd week of golf tournaments. And last Sunday, we had our junior championship, was the 6th annual. We had about 50 juniors and had a really nice reception, awards, presentations, and a little food over at Dean's Restaurant. So that was really great. Thank you for doing that, guys, there. And our junior golf schools have all finished, and we're our last week of golf clinics. Everything with Golf Now is doing well. There's continue to send lots of golfers to the course. Golf Now rounds revenue and the average price per round are all up compared to a year ago. Hours Eddie keeps our 68 carts run really good. And now that we're at the end of September, we anticipate a little bit of a slowdown in rounds due to the loss of daylight and a little bit of cooler temperatures, but expect things to be very busy into October, especially on the weekends. And it continues to be busy and a great year for Oak Hills Park. Thanks.
Any questions for Paul? Being none, thank you, Paul. Our report of our superintendent, Jim Shell. Jim.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Highlights of my report. The bunker project has been delayed a bit. The contractor, I would suspect that once the rain started in July and pretty much was constant through mid-August, that they had a bunch of delays there, and we're looking at the end of September, which is coming up here soon, for them to start. So it's not going to affect the quality of work or anything like that, but it may affect the effect on the rest of the course with as far as traffic of their equipment is concerned. But it is in the contract for them to repair anything that does get messed up from that. So there's no problem there. What else? I will say staffing has been pretty good this year. We, as usual, in the beginning of the year, it's a revolving door here as far as our staff. I mean, it takes a week, sometimes only a couple days for people to flake out. But we have attracted a lot of applicants, and I think it's because of obviously our higher starting wage. They do earn it. They do work hard. And the guys we have now are fairly solid, and I'm happy with it. Mm-hmm. So any questions?
It was a nice event at the O'Dean's Restaurant last week for you and your guys.
That was. Thank you all for making that happen. That was nice. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Big thank you to Jim Holiday and everybody else that was involved in doing something like that. Steve Shepard did some work as well. It's really nice to say thank you to to a group that works really hard like that. And we will, of course, have our holiday get together, hopefully, or our end of season get together for all the crew as well later on in the season, which we will do as well. So. No other questions for Jim? Thank you. Mark, you're up next, if you may, please.
All right. Yeah. August, Paul already hit on some of these, but August was another good month, another month of beating budget, with year-to-date revenue rounds, cart rounds, and discounted D-card sales all performing above budget. And that's just for the last 2 months. That's the year-to-date, July and August. Our bank balance is at a record high, so we should all be very happy with that. But that won't last long once the bunker project starts up, I think, because that's going to be a nice hefty payment right there. So that's it. It's just as Paul said, utilization's up. Our revenues are great, and we've had a tendency for these last few months to be a little bit over budget on expenses as well. And August, we're going to come in a little bit under budget, which is nice. So over budget on revenue, under budget on expenses. You can't ask for better than that.
So what we're finding after 2 months is we're about, what, 70,000 ahead of budget? Mark, from a bottom line perspective, is it like about that, I think?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
We are a net operating income 75 over budget.
75,000. But compared to last year, we're actually exactly the same. I did take a look. It's, obviously we budget, but compared to last year, we're exactly the same as last year, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. So one other thing I just wanted to bring to the committee members' attention is that we do have an item of unplanned capital expenditure, which is the roof of the maintenance area. We basically, Jim, I don't know if you want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about it, but it is leaking really badly. It is a hazard for us. It needs to get done. We've had 3 bids for it. Jim, do you want to just tell us a little bit about it, if you're still on?
Sure. We have a bunch of spots in our main shop that water drips anytime it rains. We have water that is supposed to go off the roof into a gutter and away to somewhere else. Because there's no gutter, it falls off the roof down to the ground. It puddles because we have a hillside next to the building, and it has nowhere to go except inside the building, and we ended up with puddles. So, I mean, not only is it, irritating to have water dripping on our heads while it's raining, it can affect our operation as far as equipment is concerned. Our equipment is standing in puddles inside the shop, and we'd like to, I don't foresee any replacement of this building in any near future of Oak Hills Park. So we should try to keep it dry, at least.
So the cost is $19,000, and that was the best bid, I think, right? Or the most realistic bid, Jim, of the 3 that we received.
Yeah,
By far, yeah. Oh, excuse me.
That's what I thought. Thank you, Jim Holiday. And as we said, we do have in the capital budget to replace the entire maintenance building, but that's about a $500,000 project or $400,000 project, and I don't think it's going to be happening within the next 2-3 years. So we do have a line item on our capital budget for 2024-25, which is general reserve for unplanned items of $25,000. So we will plan to take 19,000 of that for this project, take it down to 6. So we're still within our capital budget. So I just wanted to let the committee members know about that.
May I make a suggestion?
Surely.
When we're replacing the roof, could they possibly look into rainwater collection? I mean, if we're all concerned about water and such, there's all kinds of new systems and such whereby you can take that rainwater and utilize it
I
instead
will
of letting
say,
it just run off.
Mary, I will say that all of the runoff off of our roof does end up in our irrigation pond.
It does, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
a shame to lose that water if it's coming down.
And Mark, I'd asked you a question. Although I'd like to use the capital money, I think this is just a maintenance and repair, and is not a long-term. It may not qualify as a capitalization item on our financial statements. So
Is this a replacement of a roof?
no, it's not.
No. They're coating the roof.
So it's not a replacement of a roof. It's just, what is it? What are you doing? Just then like covering it or something? Or
Sealing it, yes.
Yeah, then I'd have to agree with Gary. Yeah.
Gary, yeah, that's a very good point, Gary. I'm sorry, it was
Yeah.
my fault. I thought the roof was being replaced. So, okay. So, I guess our $79,000 profit just went down to 60,000. But let's take a look at it. It does need to get done. So
Thanks, Jim.
I think that's.
Somebody's got to be the bad guy.
No, that's good.
I think that's fine, but I don't think we want to be depreciating a repair, particularly. Yeah, I know, Jim, you've got the replacement of building, out there, and we'll look at it in the long range plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, this sounds more like a repair than a replacement.
It'll be under the building maintenance line item, which is under Jim Shell's budget. So I'll note that in my commentary, if he goes over in the budget, it's because of this item. It makes sense.
Gary, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We always appreciate your financial knowledge in these matters. Thank you. Any other questions for Mark?
Or Mark or Jim, does that include gutters? I know there was a discussion on gutters, no gutters.
Yes.
New gutters. It does include new gutters, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So the
Yeah.
ceiling of the roof and then new gutters for the drainage and everything. Okay.
And Jim, I'll ask one other dumb question. Are you putting a 5-inch or 6-inch gutter on?
I think it's a 6, is it not, Jim?
Yes, it's a 6.
Okay. That's a better idea.
Thank you. Reports to the general manager, James.
Highlights. We have completed the LED project. We replaced 385 fixtures. We have recorded a new message on for the Oak Hills Golf Club, which if you haven't heard it, you've got to. We've got a voice that is just a fabulous radio voice. I think, Gary, you must have heard it. Is that why you're chuckling?
Yeah.
It's an awesome voice. And as a side benefit, we're capturing more calls that probably went nowhere. I get a couple of calls a day that people weren't really sure where to go. So that's good news as well. We've also installed a Knox box on the building so that when there is an event where the Norwalk Fire Department needs to get into our building, I don't have to go there at 2:00 in the morning. They've now got access of their own. The apartment is recently vacated, so I'm in the process of cleaning that up and re-renting it. We're going to be painting some crosswalks to improve safety for golfers and pedestrians. And the last item of note on my lengthy report is I'm speaking to a social media marketer about the possibilities that she could afford us. We've never done any advertising of this type, and so I will have a proposal for your consideration, most likely in October. And the rest of it's all just stuff that I do every day. So that's it for now.
Jim, the advertising, is that going to include Odeen's, I hope?
Yes, it certainly would.
Okay, good.
But they've got their own budget. They work with someone, Gary, because I spoke to John about that when I met with him recently. I said, how are you pushing your product? And he said he's hired a, what do they call it? A social media consultant or something like that. Or I don't know if there's a special word, but they are using someone at this moment in time as well.
I
But
just think if we can afford or include them in our advertising, it'd be great. I mean, unfortunately, I haven't had as many lunches as I like in the place, but they've all been great.
Yeah.
So it'd be just anytime we have a chance to advertise them, it just seems worthwhile.
It'd be great. Thank you. Any questions for Jim?
Jim, just two questions about the lights. You said the lights have been installed, the LED lights?
Yes, Rich.
And how I don't drive there at night, so is there a significant difference in terms of the looms or the brightness?
It is a huge difference. You have to
Stadium-
drive through at some point.
Stadium
It's-
lighting, it seems like.
it's
compared to
Stadium
what it
lighting. It's
Great. And
it's
any
a
of
much
that,
safer environment.
and the second part of that, is any of that at the tennis center and anything around the tennis office there that had LED lighting or no?
Unfortunately, Rich, we were not able to dovetail the two projects. There are some LED fixtures, actually. So excuse me, I shouldn't have said that. I should have, please note, yes, there are LED fixtures. Where there are LED fixtures, we were not able to have new ones installed. Like in my office, there's fixtures with LED bulbs. So we couldn't get that thrown into the project. And the same exists. The fixtures at the tennis center, both inside and out, are already LED bulbs.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Jim?
Jim, I have one. I don't even know if this exists anymore, but realtors used to have like a welcome package when people would move into the city and include all sorts of, little trinkets on what's available and what's out there and stuff. And I didn't know if there is still that kind of thing that goes on, if we could look into seeing if there is, to, give them literature, advertising, or whatever we can give them, make them aware of the golf course, the tennis site. I know that used to be something that they used to do. I mean, now everything is so internet controlled. I don't know how they operate anymore, but just a thought as part of our marketing.
I believe there's someone who still does that.
I think that's a great idea, Denise. And I will speak to some of my old realtor friends to find out what is included, if anything, about Oak Hills. I would think there probably would be, but I haven't seen a welcome package in many, many years, but I'll see if I can't make some inroads to find out what is offered.
Okay,
It's a great idea.
thank you.
Any other questions for Jim? Item 7 on the agenda, old business, new business. It's the bunker project update, but I think Jim has pretty much given us an update in his report already. So if anybody has any further questions on this, please, we can contact Jim, just right now. Anybody, any further questions on the bunker project? Okay, there being none, we shall now proceed to item 8 on our agenda, which is going into executive session. We have 2 items to talk about: employee contract negotiation and license agreement tennis. So if you just log out of this regular meeting, and then we'll log into the link that Jim Holiday sent us, and then once executive session is finished, we'll then log out of that and go back into the original login that we had when we first started. So let's log into executive session. Thank
No
you.
employees, I'm guessing.
No employees in
Good
this.
night, everybody.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for your
The
time.
other Zoom is open.
Thank you.
Good night. I guess Mark.
Good
is-
night.
Okay,
We good to go?
we are good to go.
Everybody can hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, okay, executive session, finished. There were no, issues that need to be brought into the regular meeting from our executive session. And no votes needed to be taken at this time. Item 9 on our agenda is the adjournment. Can we have someone move that, adjournment, please?
I'll make a
So
motion.
Second.
second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any dissensions, any discussion? Thank you all.
Hour and a
Thank
half.
you.
Good job, Alan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You, Alan.
Thank you.